All right. Good morning, good evening, and this is Doc Vince, and welcome to the block. And if this is your first time here, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and we would really appreciate it. So, before going into our topic today, is very important. Tokenomics is not economics, and this is an introduction. And we do have a special guest, but before going there, let's go to our sponsors.
This blockchain continuing education program is brought to you by our major sponsors: HTMLCoin, utility coin beyond the hype; Althash University, your online school in the fourth industrial revolution; Libra Codes, take control on your NFT creation; and Credence Hub, verified credentials, anytime, anywhere. We also would like to thank our partners.
Sorry about that. I was muted. And here with me is our CEO of ICORBP, my co-host. Let's all welcome Mr. Amando Bongcales, and he will introduce our guest for today.
Okay, good morning. Good morning, International Council of Registered Blockchain Professional. Thank you, Dr. Vince, for that wonderful introduction. Um, so, I'm very excited for today because we have our subject matter expert. He's been in the blockchain space for a long time and he's been attending conferences all throughout the United States and got invited in other international settings in the blockchain space. Please help me welcome Michael Noel.
Well, hello, Armand. Am I live?
You are live.
You are.
Ah, yeah, and just as we come on live, I have to cough. Yeah, isn't that great?
All good. And
So we're all
now,
here.
yes, we're all here. And Michael, maybe you could give us a short background of yourself for our viewers and what do you do for what you're doing for the blockchain space.
A short introduction. I've been asked to give a short introduction many times. I don't think it's possible, but I'll give it a go. Um, so I had a long career in finance, investment banking, mergers and acquisitions, and I exited that in 2002, retired for the first time, and that lasted like 6 months. Um, from there, I started going into what I thought people needed, and that was marketing automation at that point. That was 2004, 2005. And in 2011, I got into mining. So 2011 was interesting. I had a friend that lived in Flagstaff, Arizona, and we were actually mining Feathercoin, Litecoin, Sexcoin, some of the early coins, and doing very well. Flagstaff is very cool. We didn't have to pay for and electricity was cheap, so we didn't. It made a profitable venture. This all changed in 2014 after Vitalik Buterin wrote the white paper on Ethereum. And I read the white paper on Ethereum and realized that this changed everything. So I forked. I completely forked. I quit everything that I was doing. I sold a whole bunch of businesses and a bunch of stuff and just started focusing on this thing called blockchain. Interestingly enough, we had a couple of clients in the enterprise that were also interested in blockchain, and they started hiring us to do things like standing up smart contracts and beginning to work in workflows. And one by one, our clients would tell us that, well, we've done, thank you for your work. Remember, you have a non-disclosure, and would basically dismiss us. Swift Harvest was one similar to that. Swift Harvest was one of the first companies in the agriculture industry that had a DLT workflow. It was DLT native. We had a $20 million, $40 million valuation on that. 6 months into my process, we were offered $40 million for the company. The management decided to take over my operations and build out the operations and not accept the $40 million offer, and they ended up tanking. So lots of different things going on in my career where we've actually done some exciting things, and then it just never really did much. I think it was early, and I think we're into a place now in DLT technology where we're starting to begin to talk about autonomous organizations. We're starting to talk about headless opportunities. But I still don't think that as a whole we understand just how disruptive DLT is, and the technology, the DLT technology, what it does, and how it does it. I don't think the regulators realize they don't need to regulate something that doesn't need regulation. In trying to follow that, they're overdoing the regulation now, and it's causing a lot of problems within the industry. I think the ICO was a horrible thing that we did. I think ICOs, I think speculation, and this moves into tokenomics is not economics. I don't know if you want to go and move into there, or if you want to continue with the introduction, but we can move right into tokenomics is not economics. It's a nice little segue if you'd like.
Yes, I think it would be a good segue going right straight to tokenomics is not economics. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
and
please.
it's a good segue because I mean, tokenomics is not economics. And I've had people stand on a stage and argue with me that fact. But what they don't realize is that Robert Solow, S-L-O-W, I think Robert Solow, in 1984, 85, received a Nobel Peace Prize for his work on economics, where he went and said, look, our current economic theory says that our economic engine is defined by the users, the employees or the producers, and the equipment that they use. And that as this equipment or this gear or the platform that they're using begins to improve, that's when we get improvements in the overall economy and the overall GDP. That's the current economic theory that everyone works on. And this current economic theory is still being taught in schools today. Yet Robert Solow in 1984 produced a paper that and was awarded a Nobel Peace Prize that said, look, if we understand what the current economic theory is and the current economic situation is, and we go back to 1917 and we say, look, the increase in production for the employees is increased by X, and the increase in the machines that we use and the data that we use and the things that we use is increased by X, then we should come out to a point to where we figure out where we're at now, and it should be fairly close. Well, it wasn't. It was less 80%. So 80% of the economic growth that took place between 1917 and 1984 is unaccounted for under the current economic theory and the current economic theory that they're still teaching in colleges today. It's Chancellor Schmidt, the German chancellor at the time, said this is a measurement of our ignorance. The current economic theory, the whole current economic that they're teaching in school today is just so incorrect. And moving into blockchain, it becomes even worse because tokenomics is not economics. And in a token environment, so I was standing up smart contracts in Ethereum in 2015, 2016, 2017. We were executing smart contracts for like 23, 24 cents. The same contracts right now would be $200-300. You can't, with the price of Ethereum today, you can't run smart contracts on it.
So expensive.
That's the difference between tokenomics and economics. if you have the Ethereum blockchain and it is trading at $2 and gas costs you almost nothing, that platform becomes something that you can begin to stand up smart contracts. You can begin to track NFTs. You can begin to track real estate. You can begin to track patients inside of healthcare facilities. I mean, the metaverse in the healthcare industry is like it is truly something that is so disruptive that it's going to change campuses, healthcare campuses throughout the world. Healthcare campuses will become more automated, where you check in and move through a scenario where you're tracked in real time in that healthcare metaverse. And that's all done with DLT. And those are smart contracts that have to execute, and there's a cost to execute those smart contracts. When you execute that smart contract, the cost of the execution is part of the overall cost of doing that transaction. If Ethereum is trading at $200 million, you're never going to be able to afford the gas to get that contract done. The higher the value, the perceived value of the platform, the lower its intrinsic value, the lower the value of actually doing work on that platform. And that's the tokenomics is economics. There's a balance within the Ethereum blockchain, and that balance is are the smart contracts that we're doing, are they affordable? If Ethereum is trading at $30,000, these smart contracts are not affordable.
Correct.
If it's trading at $200, then they become affordable. So the higher. Go ahead.
Right. You are, Michael, you're exactly correct with that one, because, right now, as we see it, these digital assets, these cryptocurrencies, evolve into a financial tool. But, people, as everybody knows, that this is just one part of it. And every time we use blockchain, we have to pay the gas, and not just for trading, but also to execute some applications online. If you start developing software, for example, if we go to the government, and a certain somewhere out there, government would like to decide that birth certificate or land registry to be executed in blockchain for transparency and security reason. What will happen if the value of those gas is too expensive? And is this
Yeah, there you go.
affordable? Is this affordable to these developing countries, people who would like to transact their business on the blockchain? To be clear, for example, let's make it sure that our student from other universities who are watching the show. So, for example, if a country X decided to have a birth certificate, and every time they enter an entry into the blockchain, like new birth coming, and what will happen if the gas fee is too expensive? So it's not sustainable anymore. So the value of blockchain for a common good is gone, because the value of the token now went up. I know that this
But
is your expertise. How would you resolve this?
but
Or
did the value of the token go up?
if, for
That's
example,
my question.
mhm,
You're saying, look, the value of the token went up, and I'm saying, let's identify value, because the value of that token in that platform did not go up. The
hmm,
value that is in that token, and the only value for a token is in the fact that it keeps track of a transaction. It's a transactional a mechanism, right? And that's its value. Now we bring in speculators who begin to speculate on it and speculate on the future, and they change the cost, not the value, right? And that's the issue in tokenomics, is the delta between the value of the token, which is just in a transaction, and the speculative cost in which someone is using marketing or some other type of thing to promote this and increase the value of that token. And bonding curves are another example of this, where we apply bonding curves to tokens to make them stable. And there's no such thing as a stable coin, gentlemen. It's never going to work. It's just can't. In tokenomics, there's no such thing as a stable coin, because value is derived from a value, not from some sort of speculative mechanism.
When you say stable coins, we're talking about the USDC. Am I correct? Or USDT?
Well, there's many stable coins out there. I wrote what was it? I wrote an article. If you go into Medium, I wrote an article about stable coins about a year and a half ago, in which I predicted the fall of Luna, which happened. And the problem is that when I talk to people in speculation, and I talk to people that are promoting stable coins, they have this thing that they think is going on, and it's not. They think that there's a value. They think that there's the stablecoin people think that they can demand that this coin trade at X, Y, or Z. The USD needs to trade at $1. So we got a bunch of people that just traded it as $1. Now you bring in ETFs, and you can speculate, and you can whip that USD from 94 cents to $1.10 with trading, as long as the trading is quick enough, and as long as the trading, I mean, we have been doing this trading thing, for the speculation thing, for generations upon generations. It's the worst thing we do the worst thing we do is this speculation thing. There's all the stock markets, I mean, look, there's not a company in the world that's worth more than 6 times its earnings. And I don't care who you are or what that company does. It's worth about 6 times earnings. That's what it makes in 6 years. Right now, you have companies trading on the stock exchange that are trading at 100 times earnings. There's not a company ever imagined or created that's worth 100 times earnings. That's all speculation.
And it's all because of speculation. Now, what do you think about the CBDCs and how it would affect the market?
They're going into a situation that's going to be very dangerous, and it's going to work right until it doesn't. And when it doesn't work, it's going to be spectacular. And I can't wait for the show.
Amando, you were about to ask something or say something?
I know. So,
I'm not a very popular. I'm not a
you know,
popular guest. I apologize.
No, because we want perspective coming from people who've been in the industry for a long time, like you. So different perspective give to people, to the International Council of Registered Blockchain Professionals all over the world. Different perspective enriches their experience, and it will make them a good decision maker in the future when they lead the DLT, distributed ledger technology, also known, sometimes called blockchain. So, different perspective are welcome. These are diverse opinions that we want to evaluate here in the council.
Well, the problem is that speculation is exactly the worst thing that we do to one another. It doesn't add anything to the GDP. Speculation doesn't add to the GDP, yet it's what we do. Everyone does speculation.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone that's in in this council has stocks that they own, something of this nature, um, and most of these stocks are held up by a thing we call a bonding curve, and um, most USDC, most of the stable coins depend upon some sort of a bonding curve to set their pricing, and most stable coins vary, 6% plus or minus. So they're not very stable. And the bonding curve that they apply, here's the problem with a bonding curve. If you understand what a bonding curve is, and you understand that it just sets a mark, what happens when you bring another bonding curve and start fighting a bonding curve with a bonding curve? That's what we're having now, is that the stable coins are being fought by speculators who are trying to game the system, oversell, bring the price down, buy, and then sell back at the stable cost. So this is all stuff that takes time, energy, and effort and adds nothing to the GDP. It's the most, and here's the thing about speculation: 80% of the time, someone loses, 15% of the time, someone wins, and about 5% of the time, it's a break even. The 80% of the time when someone loses, it's usually your mom's 401k. And the 15% of the time when someone wins, it's usually someone that doesn't need the money anyway. So it's the worst thing we do as a global perspective, is all this speculation, which adds nothing to the GDP and just tends to inflate everything. And we're in a really bad place with all of this. Sorry.
Mike, I have a question. Now, going to the cryptocurrencies, and if you go to Telegram, there's a lot of speculation going on. Okay, and um, um, uh, we notice, because I've been in the cryptocurrency space, people are consumers of speculation. Even if the platform or the token or that coin has no product, if they have a good marketing people, and they have a story to tell because they would like to create a myth about their product, that coin value price
Oh, yeah.
goes
That's
up.
where we're at.
And then I noticed this. This would be a this also happened obviously in traditional trading, but I go all the time in Telegram and check cryptocurrencies there. And I'm part of one, and then I'm just myself, I'm just frustrated because people would like to consume speculation, and instead of listening, look, these are the development that we're trying to push to create our ecosystem. We're producing this, we're establishing this, but people don't look at that way. They would rather consume information in the
Exactly.
sense that makes them feel good.
Right. And they don't necessarily want to know the truth. They just want to hear their opinion espoused as truth, right?
Right. So that really bothers me a lot. So basically, and then of course, these
Here's
developers would like to appeal, to appease and to get sympathy and get the rapport coming from the community members. They will create stories in order for these people to consume.
Absolutely. And in the next paradigm, uh, Buckminster Fuller once said, "Look, if you don't like the current paradigm, don't try and improve the current paradigm. Build another paradigm right beside it that functions better, and eventually it will make the old paradigm obsolete." So
Hmm.
this is what we've been doing since 2005, 2008, working in digital currencies, is to begin to build the digital paradigm. The
Hmm.
digital paradigm is out there right now. It functions 1,000. It's 100 times less expensive, and it's 1,000 times quicker. But we can't even get past speculation and we can't even get past regulation that doesn't need to be regulated to get to a point to where we can begin to have these workflows actually function. They're there. They've been there since 2016, 2017, when we worked on them the first time.
Mm-hmm.
People
So,
aren't ready to accept them.
right. So, Mike, what would be your suggestion? What kind of, this is, you may suggest, or you probably say, I really don't have any opinion on this one, but what is your suggestion on right now in the blockchain, in the cryptocurrency space? When you go to Telegram and other social media platform, they're hyping right now, and people kind of know it already, and people would like to consume the hype or the marketing created by these developers. So what kind of a paradigm or other alternatives you can tell to people, or probably there is none? What do you think? People are just
No,
would
no,
like to
no, no,
consume this
no, no, no,
hyping.
no, 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 no. And it's not my opinion, right? Now,
Mhm,
you've asked me for my opinion on this.
mhm,
I don't have an opinion. I've just observed this since 2011, and it's
mhm,
going there's a logical progression to all this. And we are going into DLT native workflows that are 1,000 times quicker and 100 times less expensive in the blockchain space. And we'll be doing that in the metaverse, because the metaverse becomes our environment, right? And in the metaverse, these are platforms. So the platforms have a place and a purpose. The platforms that we build are socially and financially profitable and add to the GDP. These are the structures that become more convenient for consumers to use. Blockchain's too difficult right now for consumers to use, but if we just use blockchain in the background, and instead of using, for instance, it's 1,000 times quicker and 100 times less expensive. The enterprise doesn't want this to happen because they know it's going to be devastating. They won't exist at the end of this because it's 100 times quicker. And I mean, an example is a simple transaction where let's say Armando, I had an NFT. You're looking at my picture there, right? And this is from Elevate in Los Angeles a couple of years ago, where I moderated a panel with some fairly good thinkers on that panel. Actually, it was a lot of fun. So maybe there's some interest in some of those speakers. Maybe there's some interest in me, whatever it is. Maybe there's some value in the provenance for this image. So we turn it into an NFT. It goes on sale. You buy it from me, right? You want to buy the NFT from me because there's value in it. And I'm just trying to pick something out of the air. So now let's look at a transaction where you, Armando, you want to buy an hour's worth of consulting from me for $150. You have to then, there has to be a website or some other kind of a place where you can go, and it's not available to me because you need to put your credit card information in and all that kind of good stuff. And so that's a person that you have to go and you have to do this. And behind that, there's a credit card company, there's a bank, there's a gateway for the credit card company. That all gets eventually sectioned off onto the Swift network and settled on Swift in 2 or 3 days. This is our current situation, right? There's 30 or 40 people that are in the transaction where you buy an hour's worth of consulting from me for $150, right? There's 30 people at least, right?
30 in the middle.
Armando? Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
right.
there's at least 30. I counted them one time. There was 183, but we're going to say 30. Okay. Now, let me give the potential transaction where Armando wants to buy this NFT from me, right? And I own the NFT. Let's say I have a smart contract that is set up on this NFT that is going to transfer ownership and transfer responsibility. And the smart contract has built into it things that will give me 2% of the transaction anytime that this NFT is traded in perpetuity.
Mm-hmm.
Now, try and set that smart contract up in the current paradigm. You can't. It's impossible. But we can do it in the DLT industry. We do this all the time. And we set up these smart contracts that basically self-execute at almost zero marginal cost on Solana, right?
Right.
So 2 different transactions. Number one is someone wants to buy my NFT. I have a smart contract. They transfer money into that smart contract, and that smart contract self-executes the transmission of ownership and responsibility of that NFT to Armando. And the only people that are involved in that in that transfer are me and Armando. It is peer-to-peer. It happens immediately within seconds. The other is where Armando wants to buy an hour's worth of consulting from me. There's at least 30 people that are involved in that, and it's going to take Swift about 3 days to settle that contract. They're going to settle it in advance using a derivative, but basically it's going to take 3 days. So one transaction takes nanoseconds and the other takes days. One transaction takes 2 people and can theoretically be executed at zero marginal cost. And the other transaction takes 30 people and costs $5 or $6. I mean, when you start looking at it, DLT workflows are 1,000 times quicker and 100 times less expensive. And the current paradigm just will never, ever, ever survive.
But I think the current paradigm won't give their power on the control and where the money is being made. So do you think that there will be an adoption of using the DLT?
Ah, so now you've hit upon Noel's law of decentralization.
Because
Well, I
I
mean,
think that, yeah,
I
go
used
ahead,
to
please.
say this back in 2017, 2018, and it would and people would always smile. I think it's more nefarious today because of our knowledge and of what's happening. But Noel's law of decentralization is, and you can Google this, Noel's law of decentralization is the first thing that a centralized organization will do when confronted with a decentralized mechanism is to try and centralize it.
And that's what the governments are doing, specifically even with the CBDCs. They see a digital currency tokens. Now they start doing to control, centralize, and doing the CBDC. That's how I. That's
Yeah.
am I correct on
They're trying to
interpreting that?
centralize a decentralized mechanism. It can't be done. This is
Mm,
why there are no such thing as a stable coin, because if you understand the tokenomics behind the platforms that we're building using DLT, you would
mhm.
understand there's no such thing as a stable coin. The value is in the platform. The token is just the transaction, the way to transaction that value. And it's done at zero marginal cost. We're entering
Mhm.
into a zero marginal cost society here. What's an appropriate markup on 0%?
Yeah.
If it doesn't cost you any, I'll give you an example, right? The current metaverses I'm building use autonomous transportation. Why? Because we need value in the platform in order to build value in the token.
Mm,
Autonomous transportation becomes zero marginal cost. If you have a car and you lease let's say you lease a Tesla that has autonomous driving on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you now have a Tesla and it drives itself. And it's electric, and the basically the energy doesn't cost you anything because you're getting it from Tesla. Eventually, it'll be renewables, wind, solar, and air. So you now have an app where you call that Tesla. The Tesla comes to your house and takes you to the grocery store, and then takes you back. And that trip to the grocery store was done autonomously without a meat sack sitting in the seat. And it was also
Mm-hmm.
done at zero marginal cost. There was nothing it cost. Nothing. It didn't cost anything other than the lease payments for that Tesla to access the data that we gave it on where we're at. And it didn't cost anything for that Tesla to figure out how to get to us. And it didn't cost anything for that Tesla to take us to the grocery store and back. It's a zero marginal cost, or very, very close to a zero marginal cost transaction. The cost is zero. We put that into the platform. That becomes part of the platform process, and that becomes part of the value of the platform that we're building. And that brings people in to buy tokens, to use
Mm-hmm.
tokens inside of the platform. So that gives us our value. If a metaverse doesn't have a purpose and a place, it's just a video game. You know what? I might be getting off on that one. I might be getting off on a tangent. We should get back to tokenomics. It's not economics, and maybe stop talking about metaverses because that might confuse the issue.
But it's still wonderful, Michael. Your insight, is deeper, and this, gives a deeper experience to people listening to us in this program.
Well, my only claim to fame is I've made more mistakes than anyone else.
Well, everybody does.
Yeah, but I've been doing it since 2011.
You see, so that gives you the authority, to discuss
Yeah,
about
I've made more mistakes. That's all. I know where not to go.
No,
So
I
anyway, how
guess
would you like to proceed? Go ahead. Go ahead. Give me. I mean, I'm off
no.
in the weeds, off in the metaverses, and we're talking about tokenomics.
y-
We need to get back on track.
yes, we need to get back on track. But sadly to say, unfortunately to say, that we barely have a few minutes to go, and this would be a good prelude for our um, subsequent episodes on the
Oh, you're
next.
inviting me back.
Oh, why not?
Oh
Why
man,
not?
you've got no taste at all, do you?
I think we got a lot of taste because I
Okay,
mean
well, this is
you've been
not very
sharing.
popular, just so you know. This is not the popular end of things. This is not the speculatory end of things. This is where we actually use DLT to do workflows. In
Yes,
2017, my partner and I read all over. There's no workflows for DLT. DLT will never do anything. We started 37 companies, each using a different workflow in 2017.
yeah, but the thing is, for me, I'm gonna go back to what you said. So you said that it's unpopular. People gotta take the red pill, unpopular or popular. I mean, they gotta know, and they gotta understand both sides of the coin for them to make a wise decision. So, regardless of
That's
what, I mean, this is a really great conversation that we have today on this episode
well.
on
Thank
the
you.
block.
Thank you very much.
And we really appreciate you for being here, and any size of the coin that would help us, not just us, but I mean the audience here in ICORBP in the block, give a good perspective on things to make their own decision. They will be the ones who decide whether it's popular or unpopular or good or not. But the thing is, we were able to give them several different aspects or perspective, such as yours, Michael. And for that, we thank you for being here. Now, I think before we go, Amanda, you want to say something?
Oh, I'm just so excited and so thankful that Michael, Noel is our subject matter today, and he very he really pushed and emphasized the idea, the element of speculation that is, I call it a cancer in the blockchain space. And Michael
It
is
is.
a proponent for reducing, or if not eliminating, speculation. And by pushing this idea, we are inculcating to our fellow members in the ICORBP, and also student listening to different universities subscribing our channel, that speculation is a bad thing, and we have a subject matter expert that will give us light about speculation, the ugly face of speculation. And I'm sure this is not the first session that Michael Noel will be invited, and he will be discussing more on the ugly face of speculation. So please, guys, if you would like to know more about digital currencies and the ugly face of speculation, please stay tuned on the following session, on the following show, because Michael will be invited and he will talk and further expand on this topic. Thank you.
Well,
Oh, thank you,
hopefully we'll
Amando.
move on to innovation, which is where it's at. Speculation is bad, innovation is good. Hopefully we'll get there.
Yes, and it's not just identifying what the problem is, but going to where the solution, moving
Exactly.
forward.
You can't tell someone about a problem unless you're bringing a solution in your back pocket.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Unlike others who create the problem and provide the solution themselves. Oh, sorry, that's another topic. But I'm going to give the whole floor to you, our guest subject matter expert, Michael Noel. Final thoughts before we go. And if you do have a book or anything that you want to plug in, please do. So go ahead, please. I'll give you the full frame.
Thank you. I appreciate your time, and a shameless plug. Join me on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is linkedin.com/n/Michael Noel. Join me on LinkedIn. Ask me questions, anything that you would like. I'd like to continue this as we move from speculation into innovation. Innovation is where we need to be, and innovating these DLT workflows that are 1,000 times quicker and 100 times less expensive. Basically, we can have entrepreneurs, small businesses, decentralized businesses that can do processes, that can do transactions much more effectively and much more efficiently than the enterprise is. We're starting to see some of this with Walmart as Walmart fails. This is going to become more decentralized, and innovation is how we use DLT technology to build out platforms, local platforms, hyper-local platforms that use tokens, and the value is in the platform, which takes the speculation out of it. Anyway, thank you for listening to this old guy who has been around for a while, made a bunch of mistakes, and I'm cautiously optimistic about the future, but I'm cautiously optimistic about the future that involves a lot of change, and change is painful.
And there you go. Thank you so much, Mr. Michael Noel. Don't forget, we'll put in all the links in the description. Those who are watching right now, on the description box, Michael Noel's LinkedIn page. And at the same time, there was a book that a link that he shared a while ago. We'll also include that. I'm sorry?
Yeah. The book is called The Truth Machine, Michael Wagner and Paul. The Truth Machine is one of the first books that really talks about the workflows in blockchain and in DLT and how they replace social capital.
Interesting. So we will add that on our description box. And to our guests who are here, thank you so much. And those for watching, don't forget, it'll be on our next episode, The Block. And to our sponsors, we would like to thank all of you. And all we can say is stay safe, be safe. God bless y'all. Mike, thank you so much. Amando, thank you for being here. Bye-bye.
God bless.
This blockchain continuing education program is brought to you by our major sponsors: HTMLCoin, utility coin beyond the hype; Althash University, your online school in the fourth industrial revolution; Libra Codes, Take control on your NFT creation. And Credence Hub, verified credentials, anytime, anywhere. We also would like to thank our partners,